From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? I'm glad we're having another conversation similar to last week, and look forward to chatting with you.
Oh, again, love when we can connect and chat, and I'm doing well. How about you, Steve?
I'm doing well as well, and glad that we're continuing our trend. What we're uh, having a one-on-one conversation this week, but we do like to have guests. So if you are interested in being on the show, please let us know, and we'd like to have you. If you have a topic that you'd like to talk about, or if you want to comment on what we're talking about, you're welcome to in either way. So please reach out to us. So if you were with us last week, we talked about how a manager should keep up their technical skills and the importance of that and what goes into that and uh, how it can be a challenge to do so. So today we're kind of going to flip the script a little bit, and we're going to talk about should a manager go as far as also being a programmer, and vice versa. Does a programmer make a good manager of programmers? So it's kind of two different dialogues, but we're gonna mash them up and see where we go with it. So James, we've both been in these roles before, and we're both uh, these are both relevant conversations for us where we are and what we do day to day. So, tell me a little bit about your thoughts.
My thought on if a programmer should become a manager, and my gut reaction is no. And that's mainly because I've said this before, I always say this is tech is easy, people are hard. And I really have come to embrace that and understand that. I've been, processing that a lot lately. And I look at us programmers, and this is not like a knock on us programmers. We are very literal. We have to be in programming. If we say that you press this button, it does this. Not like, feelings aren't involved. There's not a lot of breath. It's this is what happens. We are very literal. We're very to the point. People are not like that. Manager, you're not like that. And I think it's been really hard, at least for me. I don't know about you, Steve, as someone who's been programming and everything's very literal. You do this, this happens. Or you say this happens. And then you talk to an employee and you get all very vague things, and you're like, wait, or you ask them to do something and they go and it's like, wait, that wasn't what was asked of you. I saw it was pretty point, but maybe I wasn't clear, and you got to try to clear up your explanation to them. Like the whole notion of go get me a rock. As a manager, you got to be extra clear. Where on a like programmer, when we're coding, we tell the machine exactly what we want it to do. You are doing this, and they don't interpret it any other way. They don't sit there and be like, well, they're telling me to turn the light green. Well, all right, I'm going to turn it green. I'm not going to ask, well, do you want lime green? Do you want hue green? Do you want this or hey, how about blue? Or like red, I think would be better here. I'm going to turn green. It doesn't know if it has no other say to it. Um, so yeah, I just think that's probably the hardest thing, especially with us programmers, going from being very literal to dealing with vague information.
Yeah, for me, it comes back to personality types, and that's something that I'm big on is that, the typical personality type of a programmer is a very I use the disc method is a high C, which is somebody who is, like you said, is analytical, is very detail oriented, is very specific. They are somebody who is going to be in the weeds a lot. They're going to be the ones that are reading all the documentation and doing things, following the rules, let's say. And I'm a lot of these are different qualities, and not every programmer possesses them all to the same degree. But a lot of times that's what makes up a good programmer. Um, Managers have to live in the gray a little bit more, as you said. It's things aren't as black and white. You have to be able to make adjustments, and you have to adapt to situations. Now, I'm going to probably call myself out is that I may not be, fit the prototypical manager or even a business owner, because I, come from more of the background of the C type personality. But I've gotten to learn this and build the muscles that I need, and continue to learn. But there are some things that are inherent in good leaders and good managers that that are very common to them. You have to be very goal oriented and driven, and you have to, as you mentioned, be able to work with people and personalities. You're not just working with a machine. Um, but there's a certain amount too of sensitivity that comes into that role, and I think some programmers could strive could really succeed in that place, because they possess the patience and the ability to deal with situations. But there are different roles and different responsibilities, and just because you're very good at something doesn't mean that then you should manage people that are doing that role.
Yeah, not it's not always great to take your best programmer and make him a manager of programming, programmers and stuff like that. And the one thing I will say, just like programming, just like any technical thing, being a leader, being a manager, you can learn. A big podcast I listen to is Coaching for Leaders, and they're saying there is coaches aren't born or leaders aren't born, they're made. And yes, I have gone through some rough patches as a manager and leader, and I have grown, I've learned. It's a different muscle, it's a different mindset. So I do feel people can learn it, but you have to have that personality, you can say, that drive to do it. And there are some people who don't want to. They don't want to deal with people. They want to deal with ones and zeros. They want to be very literal. I say this, you're gonna do this. And then nothing wrong with that. Does not mean you should be a manager or a leader of that.
Yeah, very, very, very well put. I don't wouldn't want to discourage somebody though that would be interested in it, but I think that it's important that you know what you're getting yourself into. And I wouldn't say that you wouldn't be successful. You just would need to develop a different muscle, like we're saying, and it's a different responsibility. And like in this episode and in the past one, there is some value in being able to do the technical stuff and be able to get in the weeds when you need to. But the a manager's role more so is overseeing the team and overseeing the results, and helping to facilitate the success of the people that they're managing. And it can be different, because if you go in and you step in and you do the work, or you're the one that's always taking on the more complex projects, or have or putting out the fires, then I don't know that the team is actually learning and growing. And you may not be, also you could be hindering your own progress in learning to be a good manager.
Yes, and I will admit that's probably why I struggle the most with when I first started as a manager or leader was I think I jumped in too early, too much, putting change your role. Can you hear me? All right.
Now, yes,
All right. Yeah,
if you can
sorry
say
if
that.
my
Yeah.
mic's cutting out. It's been acting up lately. So yeah, as a manager, your role has changed. You're not fighter anymore. You're letting your firefighters fight the battle while block what's getting in their way.
Agreed. And it's also I think that the what I found too is that the people that are doing the work, whether it's a programmer, technician, whatever it might be, they have a different mindset too. They're task driven. You're giving them something to do. They're doing it. They're not necessarily zooming out all the time, seeing the bigger picture and understanding um, what is important about why they're doing what they're doing, or also how to understand the significance of achieving the outcome. It's they've been given this task to do, and that's their mindset is I need to get this done. So there, I think that there's certainly a different perspective that goes into it.
Agree. There is definitely a different mindset, different look at it. Definitely as a manager, you have to zoom out. You have to see the bigger picture. How does this decision impact the whole operation? As a program, we look at systems. We look, okay, I got this moving, impact this system's good to go, and then we move on to the next one. As a manager and supervisor, you're like, okay, is my team being efficient? That means across all systems, not just that individual system or that individual project. And are they learning? Is the environment safe for them? Are they thriving? Do they have the resources they need? Is their computer running slow? Do they have the proper IDE for them? Do they have the access to the resources and the repositories and all that stuff? Like that's our role now, thinking as managers, leaders. Not that like, okay, got this system or this project moving forward is going through its stages. Cool, I'm done. Put a bow on that. Go on the next one and keep moving.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've seen people struggle with too is we want to get the job done, but we want programmers tend to be about the outcome, the quality, the the aesthetics of it, not necessarily about getting it done, quickly and profitably, if you will, whatever profitably means. But managers are driven more about, hey, I need you to get this done because this is the time allotted, whether there's a cost associated with it or whether it's in a schedule to get done because we have to move on to the next thing. So that can also be a little bit of an inner conflict that you have to deal with it. Before we wrap up, can you maybe share? I shared in our last episode about the when I was at a crossroads about continuing to be a programmer or shifting to run a company. It wasn't that long ago that you moved out of being a programmer to being a manager. What was that thought process?
Ah, well, I guess let me say this. My thought process was when I started out, I was in high school and stuff. I actually envisioned myself getting into some kind of management position. Um, Not like a CIO. I'm not ruling any of that out, but like I saw myself getting into some kind of management position. So I guess I always saw myself going that way. Um, I really like the truth. I went to school. I wanted to be a network administrator. I really understood that. While I was in school, taking my classes, and I got into some programming classes. So I did some programming. I enjoyed it, but I always told myself I didn't want to do this day in, day out. That was just me. It didn't fit me. And then when I got moved over to the AV team on where I used to work, I really did fall in love with the programming of the AV system, but it's also the not just the program, the designing, the whole aspect. We talked numerous times. Do we just program or what? I loved all that, but I never lost that drive to become a manager or a leader. Um, so I think instead of, oh, I was a programmer and I became a leader, I think I was always had the mindset of getting the management and became a programmer as a stopgap, you can say. Um, so that's my journey to go from there. Now it's good because I understand the program, and I have learned that I am a very literal person, like I mentioned here, where programmers are very, you do this, this happens. I'm very like that. I like puzzles. I like figuring things out. So I guess I have that personality of a programmer, but I always had the drive to be a manager.
Hmm. I like that, and I can relate. I had similar ambition, but I guess I didn't always really know what it was going to take to get there, or what it was going to involve once I did get there. But it was always in my mind that I was wanted to be more at a management level, and that was an ambition, maybe because that's what I was told to do, but it was something that I you know was goaling myself. The other side of it was just, developing a passion for business as well. And I love the tech, but I think that I'm more of a bigger picture thinker than, being doing the specifics of it. So this is a great conversation. I hope that our audience, those of you out there listening, got some value from it, and we'd like to know what you think. Either this episode or our previous one, they were kind of coupled together, and we'd also like to, maybe I'll put out a poll, how, many of you out there are programmers versus managers to get a sense of where what where the makeup is of our audience. James, if people want to get in touch with you and continue this conversation, how would they do so?
Again, I'm on in the LinkedIn community as a programmer, on the social AV_James King. Again, Google me. I'm out there.
And for me, you could reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media. LinkedIn is really the place that I think most of us are active these days. So please reach out and connect there. Also, let me know that you're a listener of the show, and I'd like to be provide some good context for connecting. As James mentioned, our LinkedIn group is free and open, so just hop in there. You can find out more about our episodes as well as interact with members that are programmers or in the programming community. Uh, my company, Control Concepts, is a supporter of this podcast, and we provide some of the building blocks that programmers need to succeed, whether it's integrating products or adding functionality to your systems. You could find out more about that at controlconcepts.net. If you are a listener of our show, you can also watch us on YouTube. And if you're seeing us on YouTube now, you can take us on the go on your favorite podcast player. Both we are places that you can leave a rating, review, subscribe, and share your favorite episodes. So we'd like to hear from you, and we want to connect and provide content that you're looking for. So please reach out. Until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.